All right, so we're gonna pick right back up with our soap melting point experiment. So I have my 2 test tubes of soap. I am going to place them, remember, 2 grams versus 5 grams. Place both of these into my water bath. Turn them so you can see them better. And let me move the speaker so you get the best view possible. All right. So now I turn my hot plate on. We are starting at 25 degrees Celsius, which you should remember is room temperature. I poured out my nearly boiling water, and we started. All right. All right, and let me get this in view. All right, so we are just plugging away. We are again observing to see when these 2 substances melt and whether it is at the same time. So we're starting off at 27 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna turn my burner back on. Not all the way. Again, you'll see our water start to boil off of the bottom. All right, so we're at 29 degrees Celsius right now. So we are steadily climbing through the 30s. Again, you can see our convection currents start to form. It's so crazy, you really can't even see those with your naked eye. So amazing what these cameras can do. And this is an old iPhone. We're at 35 degrees Celsius. What you're hearing is the hot plate turning on and off. I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit by just turning it on high. But that just means we're gonna have to be extra careful watching for the melting point because we might go past it very quickly. Remember, the melting point is when it starts to melt. When you see the first little bit start to melt is when you will record a melting point. We're at 41 degrees Celsius right now. And this is a little boring, but if you're bored, just watch the convection currents. I'm gonna pour some coffee. we're at 43 degrees, 44. Back down to 43. $48. Coming up on 50. $53, so we're almost caught up with our fat. 55, 6, 7. We've now passed our fat smelting point. I had a feeling this one was going to take longer. I'm going to ask you why in the post-lab questions. Really see those convection currents moving. Wow. We are at 65 degrees Celsius right now. We are soaring beyond our fats melting point. Almost at 70. $71, we're just watching for when it begins to start melting. You can see those are just air bubbles accumulating on the outside. Or well, water vapor bubbles, if we're being technical. We're at 73 now. I'm gonna turn the heat down because we're getting close to boiling and it might be hard to see. If we get too close to our boiling point of water. So we're at 77. Almost 80 degrees. We are nearing the boiling point of water. Pushing past 80. Looks like my soap is beginning to soften. Doesn't look like it's melting yet. I'm having a hard time telling with all these air bubbles. Woo! That was just the top popped off of one of the vials. Scared me. All right, we are at 85. We are nearing water's boiling point. That's what you're seeing on the bottom. Those are bubbles of water vapor, not air, accumulating at the bottom. When a liquid boils, all of it turns into vapor, not just the stuff off the top. It's like evaporation, but the entire liquid goes through it at once. We're at 88 degrees. Wow. This is a lot higher than I thought it would be. Looks like I might be starting to see some liquid. Having a really hard time telling. Vial number 2 has popped. Wow. Things are really getting violent around here. So we are at 96. Our water is beginning to boil, and our soap still has not melted. It's still solid. It still has a definite shape. Well, you know what? We're just gonna see when it melts. I'm gonna let this keep going. We are now officially crossing the boiling point of water. We are at 100 degrees Celsius. Our soap still has not melted. So you might get a little hard to actually see what's going on now. Jeez. This is one of the limitations of doing melting point tests with water baths, is that water, ooh, wow, this is killing my test tubes. Water boils at 100 degrees. And as you can see, our soap is still solid. Our test tubes are even melted a little bit, but our soap is still solid. I'm gonna pour some out after I turn that off. So if you would like to, where's my, just real quick before I wrap this up. Here is our soap, still solid. still able to pick it up, touch it. It's hot, but it never melted. Wow. It's not even that much softer.